Father, forgive them.
So now the thing is to mock how she's grieving and question everything about how her behavior is.
For they not know what they do. That man. That young man. I forgive him.
Okay, you know what? Okay, I'm not even being emotionally reactive to this. Let's be logical here. If you hear that speech on its own without any sort of background that they just went through something tragic and you're supposed to feel bad because there's tragedy, do you not get the impression that it might be staged? Who talks like that after losing their husband? It seems very script-like. And the only reason I'm saying that is because Erica, she was caught doing Freemason hand signs. Freemasons are actors, okay? They put on this show, they make both sides fight each other and hate each other because their belief is order through chaos. So the fact that she was just doing that in the most non-emotional way ever is, and especially that young man, like, it's like, why did you add that? Now, granted, their side mocking this is obviously deplorable and disgusting, yes, but I'm a rational being, and I always consider manipulation on both sides. So, in other words, there's their story, his story, her story, everybody else's story. 3 sides to the story. I'll be your third side opinion on this one. But it's because I know how secret societies work and how they always, plot in double agents and people who are disguised to be a representative of something such as a Christian, so-called Christian. I can tell no one's even read their Bible because, one, it says there are wolves in sheep's clothing. There are those who say they love God with their lips, but their hearts are far from him. Freemasons are the same way, and they always parade as whatever religion is needed in order to get some sort of reaction. You understand? Also, support. This martyrdom, I don't even know if this was a planned assassination just so they can manipulate it and then pin it on the left side so that way we can end up hating each other because there's agents on both sides. I want you to picture this. Remember Captain America in Civil War? If you remember, what was their issue? That Hydra was already taking over, right? Hydra was already in positions while being their allies. So it's the same here. On the left, they have Hydra. On the right, they have Hydra. In the government, they have Hydra. But you don't know which ones are. That's how deep the rooted societies work. They're in everything. So you're going to have to expect manipulation on all levels. And you're going to have to suspend your emotional response to it. Because that's what they want. They want you engaging. If you engage with the illusions, then you are a puppet. Simple as that.
So we don't like how she's not allowed to grieve, how she needs to grieve. She can't show forgiveness. She can't show mercy and grace. I'm seeing people saying that, her makeup was perfect and her nails were freshly done. Yeah, she's Erica Kirk.
Acrylic nails. I don't know. Yeah, there was something about this is a conspiracy theory. There's like this our hidden meaning to it. Like when they made a video just before the assassination of Kirk, their video that Erica Kirk made was exactly 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And then the Skulls and Bones Club's actual number that represents them is 322. They leave little breadcrumbs, and then there was like a 10-7, so it's like September, or 7-10 was like September 10th. And then she had a post that said, "It was so nice shooting this video with you, Tyler." So it kind of just sounds like, or like Charlie. And then it's like Tyler / shooting. I don't know what it was, but like Charlie shooting. But there's like little, this is what they do. This is what Freemasons do. Okay. They have this principle. They have to tell you exactly what they're going to do before they do it. It's a karmic system. They know heaven cannot respond and retaliate with karma, with retribution, if everybody agrees. And agreement doesn't have to be like, yes, we agree for you to assassinate Kirk. No, it literally just has to be like, you see the warning, you don't say anything about it. That's your signature of agreement in the spiritual realm, and that allows them to operate and do evil things. See what I mean? And then so they need permission. They need spiritual permission, and part of that is why they put it in your media, your movies, your shows. You know how much permission they had to ask for 9/11? Think about it. It's like in The Simpsons. It's in everything. They have to ask you permission. And the way they ask permission is that, one, they show it right in front of your nose. You ignore it. And then they perform. And the larger the event, the more promotion they have to do. So think about that.
perfect, and her nails were freshly done. Yeah, she's Erica Kirk. It was a huge event. I'm sure that there were people around her saying, "Hey, let me do your nails for you. Hey, let me get you all ready. Hey, let's make you gorgeous for this day, so you can go and remember your husband and celebrate his life." I'm sure there was a lot of people behind that. You don't know how you would grieve in that situation unless you've been in that situation. And I don't think you can even compare it. If you have lost a spouse, I think it's a little different when you have so many people looking at you. She can't just grieve on her own and deal with it the way she needs to. She's having to grieve in the public eye. Show a little respect. Quit being so hateful. Quit judging every move that she makes.
See, I would buy her explanation if Erica Kirk, after 2 days after, wasn't going for a power grab. And this is the problem, right? You have to pay attention to their actions, not the immediate thing that they're showing you. What are they doing afterwards? What happened to Charlie Kirk's kid? And why is she like so being involved now? See what I mean? It just seems like leverage that she can take advantage of. And also, her speech just lacked the conviction. And yes, she's in front of people. I get her explanation. She's in front of people, so she has to, compose herself. But the composure that she was showing wasn't someone who was holding back themselves from falling apart. It sounded like they were holding themselves back from laughing, or holding themselves back from being like honest about the situation. Because there's a video of Erica Kirk who ends up saying that nothing happens by coincidence, nothing. And that's just it. If you ever watch The Truman Show, you'll get what I mean. Everything's orchestrated and planned. Why? Well, it's not planned in the sense of like they're just have agents everywhere. No, they grew agents over time, and then they began to create this more theatrical sense of politics and what's happening in the world in order to keep you angry. Over time, they grew in their power and in their influence and in their briberies. So of course, they'd be able to bribe people with enough equipment, enough background, enough influence to say lies. And when they say the lies, you buy them because they've been credible for what, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 190 years. Their company has always been around. But if you always draw it back, it goes back to Rockefeller, George Soros, Rothschilds, and they all worship Satan. And it's just another, like, for instance, the Vatican and Templars are just like sects of the Illuminati. They're just another part of it. They are also religious facaders. And then that's what they put out in the public anyway. And behind the scenes, they're worshiping the Baphomet. The Templars worship the Baphomet. And then you have the Satanists who are like the PR rep, who just go like, oh no, the Baphomet doesn't mean that. It means the liberation of children. Ha, very funny. No, it's the feminine energy, the masculine energy going to as one. And it's animal DNA, human DNA, androgyny. It's the power of creation, but putting it together, that when you mix these two magical energies, you can create things and manifest things as you want. It's esoteric. It's just witchcraft, honestly. Like alchemy and everything else. So
It's absurd.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to say is going to be somewhat controversial, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Now, if you guys disagree with me, please let me have it in the comment section. Now, Democrats are the only group on the face of this planet that can gun down an innocent man, celebrate his death, mock his wife, destroy his memorial, lie about who killed him, and still have the utter audacity to play the victim.
usually how it works, right? But that's not always the case. They're not getting away with things. Maybe during the Biden administration they were. But look, if you understand how left and right works, it's simply yin and yang, the same thing. Same thing. But it's just inversed, okay? They have their insanity, and then we have the right's insanity. They're both being played. Because the right represents order, but it's over control, and then it becomes dictator. The left is chaos and destabilization, and it gets more and more moronic and psycho the more you go to the left. In other words, they're both playing upon each other. One acts crazy, then the right looks better by comparison, takes control, and then they become the oppressors. But first, they're the heroes. But then, they become oppressors over time. And that is extending their reasons for adding more rules and excessive force. But they need an excuse. And through the algorithms, the way they all play with each other, this feeds your brain and makes you think all people from the left are absolutely bonkers. And honestly, a lot of them are, because a lot of them are indoctrinated. But what you're seeing is a minutia, a very small part of the most craziest people being pushed on the biggest platforms. And now you have nothing but that representation of who they are. And then what that does is create anger and justification as to what the right does in order to respond to that. See how that works? So I'm not saying, oh yeah, right or left. None of them. It's all a game. It's a lie. And the lie is to keep you always fighting. That's what they want. Order out of chaos. If you notice, when they did ICE, it were doing a good job. And then there was a report where they began to start increasing the amounts of detainees that were actually legal migrants. So while they're taking out the illegal issue, which is great, it's almost like a smokescreen for taking out people that they just don't want around anymore. And we're too busy with the bigger number to focus on the smaller number of migrants. You see what I mean? And I don't know how much of that is exactly true, but those are just simply the numbers, and they can write that off as, oh, they got caught up in the mess, the situation. It's the same thing with burqas. If you have a bunch of burqas and the Muslim community says they're peaceful, right? But then you have about 10 people within that group of peaceful Muslims, quote unquote, who do violent acts, but they go in and out of the crowd, in and out of the crowd. And then they keep pleading, we're peaceful, we're peaceful. So in other words, they became their smokescreen, they became their shield, their wall, their excuse, scapegoat. And then it gives them an excuse to say, oh, we're not like them, we are like us, we're peaceful. But you're not peaceful, because some of them will be telling other people, oh, this person's not doing what Sharia law demands. Go take him out. I'm peaceful, but you're willing to take a person out, so we'll trust it to you. So that's how that will work. But you see how that works? It's deception. It's misdirection. It's playing this actor game on both sides. Everyone has a story as to why they are victimized or oppressed from both sides. And the videos that keep getting pushed forward are good examples of each side, which it lends credibility to their claims. So now you have two groups who are absolutely adamant that they're correct because of the evidence they keep seeing. But it's not the full context of the story. Because if these protests are being funded by Soros, that means they are planned. They have their paid actors and agents inside of those protests. And then the regular people who are coming in, who think they're protesting for their own liberation, are not. They're becoming the smokescreen for the illegal acts that these actors are going to perform. And then they're going to antagonize the cops or regular people to retaliate in anger for being wronged. And then they use your camera to clip it. So that way, they're like, oh, you see how crazy the right is? Oh, you see how crazy the left is? Oh, you see these people? We should be violent. And what does this violence do? This violence makes way for totalitarianism. In other words, now we can send in military. We can send in this because there's just too much destabilization and anger and civil wars right in our streets. We need to put an end to it. And so it becomes a more dictatorship. Emergency powers to shut it all down and put people in the jail cells, right? But then they're not going to stop there. They're going to extend it, and they're going to be like, for pace and safety, we need to extend our efforts. See how that works? And when they expend their efforts, you're going to have more and more vicious, thuggish people who they pre-selected, and they know which ones to select. They have little empathy, that are going to do exactly what they need to do in order to seize control. And part of this too is, one, they can do it two ways. They're not going to lose. They can do it both ways. They can do it themselves, or they can allow the immigrants, illegal immigrants, the Muslims, to take over, create a situation where people are so desperate for security and power that the smart cities and the new digital ID, RD chip, whatever it is, if you join us, take this mark, and become a complete control drone for the government, then we will keep you safe from the crazy Muslims. And we'll drive them out. But then suddenly they'll be like, oh, wait, we developed peace with the Muslims. Now we're all coexisting. You see what I mean? They have all their contingency plans so well designed that even when you think you're making a difference, You're not. So then you're probably asking me, what the heck is the solution? Ah, wow. Believe it or not, it's literally the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the solution. They hate it. They don't know how to fight that because they don't choose a side. They choose a kingdom that's not of this earth. Therefore, their loyalty is not to nationalism. It is to Christ. They can't control them. But they do try. In UK, they banned prayer. Why do you think that's so significant? These people who believe in witchcraft, who use these tactics to brainwash the people in their minds, which is another form of witchcraft. It's spells. Except it's not your Harry Potter spells. These are just psychological CIA tactics type of spells that they learned from esoteric teachings, from demonic books, entities. You think Area 51 was about aliens? No. That was about entities. Discovering how they do things. Technology, psychology, everything. Manipulating human genomes. But other than that, they know that if they keep you fighting, you're pretty easy to control. If you're angry, if you're desperate, you're easy to control. If you fear death, you're easy to control. So somehow you have to come over your fear of death, your fear of losing things in this life. But when you come to Christ, you no longer love this world. And then you no longer fear death because you know your soul's secure. Christ overcame death. So that's why they hate Christianity, because it removes all the fears and the enslavements that they can use on your mind. When you say no to this, you become free. Imagine if everyone just got up, walk away. No more engagement, no more doing jobs. They just went into the forest, began to learn how to farm, made their own little communities, just developed their own warrior class to develop their little villages and just be like the Amish. Imagine everyone did that. They wouldn't know what to do. They will be scrambling for control. But you know, whatever, that's just me. And I'm only showing you this dumb vid because I need an excuse to tell you all this.